It's a Conspiracy is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network powered by ATB. For a list of other fun programming, please check out the albertapodcastnetwork.com, where you can find shows like the Fourth Line Hockey Podcast.
It's a conspiracy!
1, 2, 3.
Fat tire.
I feel like that's a gangster that's going to kick my ass if I don't pay him for his beer.
You got to pay Fat Tire.
So episode 11, self-titled reboot, directed by J.J. Abrams. I'm so glad. Okay, we had to lay the groundwork for that joke. That's
I was like, man, I don't think there's an 11 start.
That's why you did the whole series like this.
We got to start a whole new series.
that's a joke months in the making. Okay.
Where are we?
Welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast where we lay out the beliefs behind select conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I do not claim to be an expert on anything we are going to discuss today, and will probably be wrong about everything as usual, because we collectively were bought off by the corporations, and we're spreading the agenda.
We're not allowed to talk about that.
From the man.
Wait, I didn't get this.
I signed an NDA.
And the money.
I didn't get this memo.
And the lizard people.
Is this the time where you guys turn to me and be like, so Greg,
The secrets.
your time here is done.
You are the weakest link.
That's a terrible thing to say. We're a triangle. We're a triangle.
Yeah, power triangle.
If you'd like to see where we dug up whatever narky fluff crackers,
Go look in our backyard.
Today, go look in the backyard or the resources in the episode description. Charlie spews that garbage out episode after episode, and you'll find the crispy treats within. Now, here's something I should have mentioned a long time ago. Greg slaves away, tied to the computer, running the Instagram, and is a hashtag master. So follow us on Instagram.
Hashtag master.
Yeah, be part of the hashtag winning
Putting
teams.
that on my resume.
Yep.
He's a real hash master.
And
You're not too far off.
we are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network.
Powered by ATB!
That's right. Yep. You can check us out online at our website, itsconspiracypodcast.com. Twitter at Is It a Conspiracy? That's run by the Irish Madman. Facebook group. The Instagram page, that's run by Greg. Our email and our Patreon page, patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Joining the Ear Hustle Slam Down is Gorgeous Greg and Charming Charlie. These two cheese muffins will interject as they see fit, and I appreciate their beautiful faces. That's right, you guys are lovely. Hey, you don't have to clap. That's okay, you guys. You don't have to clap for me. It's all right. That's not me. That's them. You guys, it's fine. Thank you. I appreciate you clapping. That's not me. That's them. Thank
Sorry,
you.
I zoned out. I was waiting for you to say my name one more time.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to say my name one more time.
Big applause.
I do appreciate the applause from you guys. That's very nice.
Did we miss something?
Now, Charlie, with a yes or no, can you tell me if you've heard of either of these two things? Number one, okay, and don't get scared, a surprise trip to Mars.
Sorry, where? Can you say that again?
I was trying not to scare you, and you scared me. Okay, let's try this again. A surprise trip to Mars. And number two, was William Shakespeare real?
Where are we?
Now, subject number one.
Ding.
In 2012, two self-proclaimed chrononauts, and I hadn't heard this before. This is actually why I picked this theory, because I was like, what an amazing word.
The creator of the Cronuts.
Chrononauts. It's not cronuts. It's the fancy word for people who are self-proclaimed time travelers. They're chrononauts. So they decided to come.
Oh, like chronologists.
Chronologists, yeah.
Makes sense when you break it down like that.
So they decided to come clean on a project they were involved in the 1970s. The two claimed to have been working with DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, and Project Pegasus to create a jump room that could teleport you to Mars. So they were like, we got a room, you go in it,
Boom, you're in Mars.
Boom, you're in Mars. It's just amazing.
Next thing you know, you're in Mars, baby. Boom.
Now, the two claim that their Mars training class was part of the course load at, this is in California. It's Siskiyous, Siskiyous. Here, let's just go to our old friend.
Isn't that Susie and the Banshees?
Siskiyous. Siskiyous. Kiss you. I kiss you.
Oh man, it's going to be like the
I slime you.
Dyatlov.
Siskiyous.
Sorry, what was that?
Siskiyous.
Sorry, you guys sorry, I need a clean take.
Siskiyous.
Siskiyous. Okay, so
Andrew, this is Siskiyous.
now this the two claim their training class was part of the Siskiyous in 1980. Instructors in the course had handpicked 10 of the brightest students. This sounds like an 80s movie. Handpicked 10 of the brightest students from across the U.S. with the intention of setting up a Mars colony, establishing a link with the culture there, the existing Martians, or researching the culture remains that had been found on Mars and kept a secret.
Oh man, I remember watching Avatar.
It's very Avatar-y.
What are you talking about? That movie was called Mars Summer Camp.
Different generations, bro.
Yeah. So the two chrononauts claim to have been very impressed with a young man named Barry Soetoro, and he was the squad leader for students, and was like, he was one of the students, but he's like, I'll be the first one to go through. So he's in Mars, and then when they would go through the room, he'd be like, here you go, we're on Mars, and I'm taking your hand, and we're working together.
Oh, yeah, and
To
I'm
build a
giving you
Mars colony.
swirlies because I'm the bully.
Who was there to take his hand?
He was the first one out. He was like he was like, I'm going first. Here we go.
So, wait a minute. If he went first, how did he survive out there?
That's what I'm saying. Like, who was there to
I
take
don't know.
his hand?
We'll talk about the history of the jump room in a second.
Also,
but, yeah.
how do you spell his last name?
Soetr.
That's what I thought. So his initials are BS. I'll save it for opinion time, but
That's right. That sounds like an opinion.
That's what I thought.
Now, so Soetoro, a student himself, would meet the students at this transporter and take them to the facilities on Mars, or he would connect with the Martians there. So they're like, there might have been Martians living there, or they might have been exploring the ruins of the Martians that used to live there. Many of the supporters of this theory have claimed that the jump room itself,
that sounds so fun.
it sounds amazing.
Sounds like a ball pit.
I was
Let's
like,
go to the jump room.
don't they have places like this in Edmonton?
It sounds incredible.
Just
yeah,
trampolines
you
everywhere?
Just jump on trampolines. Yeah, this one is intergalactic jump room. We should be specific. So it was either discovery of alien technology on Earth. So they were like, we found this thing. Where does it goes to Mars? Or it was a gift from the Martians who live there now, and they were like, hey, here's a thing where if you want to come and visit us,
You guys have been trying
just walk
real
through here.
hard. Here's a way to get here.
And there's like a shortcut. Like you don't have to travel.
Guys, just chill
years. And the reason the Martians, they're like, we need to acclimatize humans to Mars and vice versa. And the basic like overall plan is the eventual colonization going both ways.
It's not a foreign exchange student program.
This is a foreign exchange student program.
okay.
They're like we're sending students to Mars. They might be sending people here, and eventually,
Sounds like a trick, actually. I'm not
like
gonna lie.
longitudinal, century-long plan. They're like eventually 100 years from now we'll have the Martians come here. We'll go there. It'll be great. It'd be like on Friends when they swapped apartments.
Yeah,
And they're like,
there you
hey,
go.
Joey's in the other one now, or whatever.
Wait, didn't they win those apartments?
I don't know how it worked. Yeah, so a more extreme take on the theory is that people that are being taken to Mars are being used for slavery, hybrid vessels, or food for an ancient culture that has
Very.
always been on Earth as the dominant species. So this is kind of hearkening back to the lizard people theory, where they're like, the Martians, they've always controlled things and they're still controlling things and blah, blah, blah. And I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but they had red hair and the red hair of the royal people, and that's the best part of it.
You're the only one that created that rule that we're not allowed to talk about.
I know, but Charlie had a thing about
It vanished.
yeah.
No more moratoriums.
Moratorium on
moratorium.
Yeah,
Moratorium on
No
moratoriums.
that's right. Okay, but so we're not supposed to talk about it, but yeah. Now the best part of this theory is that so the two students that the chrononauts that used to be students, they were like the secret identity of Barry Soetoro. They're like, that's the name we knew him by. So his actual name is, are you guys ready? Barack Hussein Obama. They're like, we knew a young Barack Obama, and he was the guy that took us to Mars and brought us back. Now, from your faces, I can see you're a little skeptical, but they were like, we called him Barry Soetoro, but it's Barack Obama.
Hey, Barry.
Sounds like a big load of BS.
Barry.
Now, the White House actually has responded to this rumor, and they're like, Barack Obama didn't go to Mars, and we're not sure where this came from. So, but the thing is,
I love that. I love that image of like them having to field that question every time. And we're going to start off this whole press conference by saying Barack Obama did not go to Mars. Please stop asking.
His name is Barack Obama,
His
not
name is-
Barry Soetoro.
Stop calling him Barry. He's not going to answer to it.
it's amazing.
Doesn't he?
He's probably Barry, and he's
B-Rock.
he's always talking about colonies on Mars. He's talking about it all the time. 2030, man, mission to Mars. Like
I think that's Elon Musk.
he's one. Elon Musk is another one of the guys that
Oh, they
Barack
bro
Obama's
down.
like, yeah,
They bro down.
They are.
They bro down. So
They're
for sure.
bro Obama. Yep,
BSEM.
Bro Obama.
yep.
BSEM.
Elon Musk was probably in that program too.
I feel like we discovered something today.
Da-da-da.
But yeah, so that's
Tonight on BSEM News.
that's a surprise trip to
Oh, what a fun twist ending.
I like it.
yeah. Greg, what are we drinking?
What are we drinking?
We're drinking Flat Tire.
Fat tire, not flat tire.
Is it Fat Tire?
It's fat tire.
Oh wow, this isn't even the right one.
You're like, well, this is good.
This is like a rip off of a rip off.
It'll be flat tire if you leave it open too long.
So Fat Tire done by who? Fat Tire, New Belgium, Amber Ale. And it's got a bike on the logo.
Is it from Colorado?
Fat Tire Amber is the easy drinking amber ale born in Colorado from New Belgian Brewing Company. It's clear amber and bright with white lacing.
I'm not familiar with that
The
term.
aroma is sweet, biscuity, and caramel malts.
Biscuity.
Subtle notes of fresh fennel and green apple. It has a flavor of toasty malt, gentle sweetness, flesh on the fresh hop bitterness. The malt and hops are perfectly balanced.
Oh, nice.
For mouthfeel, carbonation and light sweetness finish clean on your palate. Medium body.
It's good. I like it. It's not. It's all right.
It's not too hoppy either.
Ale, have another one.
So yeah, no, that's not bad. And I do have to say, this is probably the first American beer that we featured on the podcast. Usually we've been sticking with the
border!
Yep, that's okay. That's okay. I hope we don't get a ticket from. Yeah,
It's all right. We paid the tariffs.
okay. All right, there we go. And actually, I do have to say that for an American beer, the Americans get a weird rap about beers, but they actually have really good beer. Like I was down in North Carolina last year, and I was like, "This beer is amazing. Why is everybody like the big brands?" But the Canadian big brands are crap too. Like Canadian is garbage.
That's big brand.
Yeah,
That's big beer, baby.
Budweiser's garbage, but like the Americans, like this is an example of a good Canadian American beer. Yeah,
This is good beer.
it is good beer.
That's New Belgium Fat Tire.
There we go.
I'm sorry, Flat Tire is just such a better name.
You don't
a
want to
different-
put flat in the name of a beer.
Yeah, that's true.
Flat Tire. When do I want to drink a beer? When my bike breaks down. When do I want to drink a beer? When I fix a flat tire. Like
You're not wrong.
I want to drink a beer on a day that ends in Y.
You're not wrong.
thank you.
That takes us to ad number 1.
In Alberta, you get to choose where you buy your energy from. Park Power has low overhead, and chances are you'll save money if you switch. You can find out how much money you'd save by visiting parkpower.ca and plugging your numbers into the Alberta Energy Savings Calculator. If you decide to switch, it's easy. Nothing changes about your service, only the price you pay. Learn more at parkpower.ca.
Okay, and now we've got a Mandela minute from Greg.
Mandela Minute.
Mandela Minute. Haven't heard that in a while. Are either of you gentlemen artists?
Aye.
Yeah, in a broad sense, I would consider myself. Sure.
Broad strokes.
And how would you consider your color? Like, if I were to say purple, but like that purple, what would you say?
What, like the one that, like fancy pants colors?
Yeah.
Less perfect.
Yeah,
Less perfect.
I'd say fair to middling.
Fair to
Fair to Midland. Okay. Well, since we all like to drink beers, and every once in a while, maybe we like to try different liqueurs. And other cocktails. Has anybody here had the chance to try some chartreuse?
Chartreuse.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Opinions on chartreuse.
I don't know that I've had it. I know of it, but I haven't had it.
If you have a friend that's a bartender or a mixologist or whatever you want to call them these days, ask them what chartreuse is. But ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen, because we don't have any ladies here at the moment, what color is chartreuse?
Purple. You've seen it. You need to see. We need to call him a picture because he'll know what. Oh, okay.
What color is chartreuse, my man?
See, now, you begged the question by saying,
It's purple.
what color of purple is that on the screen?
Oh, I was just suggesting because
I
you
know.
said your palette was good. I was just testing.
I want to say purple, but also I saw a bit of a spoiler that said green.
What?
So you're saying purple.
It's purple.
Then Charlie is yet again saying green. I'm gonna tell you guys I'm not an artist. I work with foods. And,
I am not an artist.
I used to work with the foods. I used to consider myself a craftsman because I made food that people enjoyed instead of me looking at this plate that I thought was beautiful. If you made something good and it looked good on a plate, you were a craftsman. That being said, chartreuse, the actual color of chartreuse is a green.
That is a filthy lie.
And we can look it up right now. Chartreuse color.
Garbage.
Look at it, ladies and gentlemen.
This
It is a green.
No, this
and
is-
the color is named after the color of the liqueur.
Was it called the liquor? So the color's so nice they named it twice.
So, okay, the theory is that chartreuse at one point in time during somebody's universe is that chartreuse was a red or a magenta or a purplish burgundy color.
Absolutely was 100%. I remember this. Like, this is really weird. It was. I've been at liquor stores like numerous times recently. Earlier today.
See,
like,
this is where I was going to go with it because like I myself I'm not an artist and have no idea. I've only known it to be the color of the liqueurs that I've tried, and I like chartreuse. It's great. It's a great for after dinner, but it is a green color.
I remember it from a Tarantino movie. Which one was it? Death Proof, I think.
That's
Let's see.
hands down Tarantino's. Well, the car chase part is pretty great, but like that's a low point.
You're crazy.
Anyway,
Death Proof is a bad.
Crazy.
so we're going to be looking up chartreuse on Death.
Okay, Warren's sending over shots, and you know the house rule. If he sends over shots, you gotta do them. What? Hey, them's the rules, baby. Warren says it, we do it.
I love that philosophy. Warren says.
So as you can see,
we
all
do
the
it.
glasses laid
So
around
let's
That's right, they're
do
green.
are
it.
a green color.
What is it?
Hey, shot first, questions later. Here we go. Post time.
Green.
You've seen this whole movie, Charlie.
Is that a tasty beverage or is that a tasty beverage?
What the fuck is it?
Chartreuse.
Liquor's so good they named a color after it.
There you go.
Who's down for no
Liquor's
shot?
so good they named it color out.
Oh man, it's okay. So what color is like the chartreuse is a
Chartreuse is basically the color of like the liquor. It's almost like that.
No, but let's
kind
go
of-
back and find it. So that's the French color for like a
Okay,
like a
let's-
light green.
Let's just look up the chartreuse color. Like, I think they got a couple of examples there. There you go. That's chartreuse.
That's it. Green, pear, green. Chartreuse yellow, chartreuse green, pear, yellow green, green yellow.
Okay.
See, this is the funny thing is like you would point at that one picture there with that I would say is a maroon color.
Yeah, what a maroon.
Okay, maroon, but I'm including maroon in the purple spectrum.
I am as well, but like I've only known chartreuse based off of the color of the liqueur. I've never drawn a picture and been like, oh, look at the chartreuse tree that I grew in this color picture that I
Yeah, totally.
drew.
Like it's
Whatever.
not like it's written on like a pencil crayon. You're like, oh, I'm up chartreuse.
Yeah, and then,
please.
see, that's the funny thing. Like, while researching it, there's a lot of people who were like, I remember chartreuse being a red magenta color, and on my crayon from Crayola, it said magenta, or not so magenta, sorry, chartreuse.
I straight up remember this being like a purple color. Like that is bizarre.
I'm a big fan. I love chartreuse.
I've not had it. Now I wish I had had it.
That's
But yeah,
gonna take us.
chartreuse.
Chartreuse
Chartreuse.
is actually green. Hooray! Okay,
with
so subject number 2 was William Shakespeare real?
Is this the end of zombie Shakespeare?
So there's a theory that William Shakespeare, or Bill Shakespeare, as we've referred to him as before,
Billy Shaky.
The playwright, who some claim to be the greatest author in the English language, was in fact a pseudonym used for someone else or a number of other people. So this sounds a little far-fetched, but there's actually a number of very compelling elements to support this theory.
Do tell.
So number one, not a single handwritten manuscript credited to Shakespeare actually exists. So there's no copies of his handwriting. There's nothing that's like an original document.
He's a typewriter.
So he was, and there are examples of handwritten things from this time on papyrus or whatever. It wouldn't be papyrus, but like the 17th century, 16th century.
Sheepskin.
Yeah, and they would have examples, like they have examples of Christopher Marlowe's writing, we'll talk more about him in a second here. Number two,
do you always do this?
For someone who's apparently involved in a number of stage productions during his lifetime, he would like act in and direct a bunch of his plays. It is baffling that there are basically zero personal accounts of him and very few descriptions of his appearance from other people. So he's the most bloody famous playwright in the bloody world, and we all just bloody love him. And yet
famous
bloke. No one was like, oh, he was a bloody good bloke. And he looked like a, whatever. Like no one actually knows.
He used to go drinking.
Yeah, he would go drinking at the pub, and I just loved looking at his bloody face. The story goes, he was born to a glove maker, not love maker. That's Charlie.
Dirty glove maker.
So glove maker. Then he shows up again in the record. So very official. A glove maker had a child, William Shakespeare III, in whatever. And then he shows up years later to get married at 18. Immediately has 3 children. Then he disappears for 10 years. And in London, there's an account of him showing up without a wife or children. And he's like, I'm bloody acting in foggy London town. And
acting in a play.
My name is William Shakespeare, and I have no wife or children, and my father was a glove maker. So there's that. People are like, what happened to your wife and kids? He's like, I
ran away with my father.
Yep.
Pops was a glove maker. I was the love maker.
Sorry. glove maker. My bad.
Glove. He was in numerous stage groups, so like performing groups that would roam the countryside or whatever. And they were often performing at the same time in different places. So he was like a member of all these groups that were like in different ends of England before retiring in 1613. So this one, it's like England's not the biggest place in the world. So it's like you could have different troops playing in different places, but they were like, well, he was a member of these guys and these guys and these guys, and how could he be a member of these guys at the same time? Like we live in Edmonton. How many people do we know that are in like 5 different bands?
Sure.
Everybody.
Yeah, totally. He apparently died at the age of 52, but after drinking the blood of 72 consecrated virgins, escaped the travesties of death and rose from the dead to suck the life blood of the living. So he apparently died at the age of 52.
What?
There are
Dude, you had my attention. I was like, whoa, I've never heard this part of this.
There are no concrete records or public accounts.
It's the Anne Rice William Shakespeare novel.
So there's no what is it when someone dies? The thing that they write.
Eulogy?
Not the eulogy.
You googly?
No, not the googly. You're a Googleizer. Stop reading my mind. There's no obituary.
Obituaries, yeah.
Yeah, so there's like,
obituaries.
oh, bitch, please. Obituary.
Oh, bitch, you.
So there's no obituary of him apparently at the time, and there was not a lot of records of him being like you'd think if someone was that famous, hey, bloody change the bloody world, but there was nothing about him when he died. It appears as though he had a thorough knowledge of the rest of the continent and a depth of academic pursuits, but there's no record of travel or schooling for him that he was like, oh, I studied at bloody Oxford and bloody blah 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 blah. But someone who was like speaking about historical context, Titus Andronicus, whatever, you think that they would have like an academic record. And he was apparently like a stage guy. He got married at 18, didn't go to school, just had a bunch of kids, abandoned his wife and kids, and then went to acting, and then died a couple years later without telling anybody about it. So
without telling anybody that he died?
And then one of the claims he made was that he's like, I have an illiterate wife and an illiterate child. So someone who was...
They don't understand what I do for work.
They don't know what I do because they can't read a bloody thing. So you guys probably, if I say William Shakespeare, you get the idea in your head of like a guy with like sort of a Captain Picard thing gone mad.
Big old wig.
Yeah.
He looks like Joseph Fiennes.
Joseph Fiennes was a very handsome Shakespeare. Very handsome in that movie. And when he reaches out and the guy's like, it's a ghost. Yep. Very.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Such a good scene. That's a good movie.
I forgot about that.
And so,
did you know Judi Dench got an Oscar for that movie for being in it for like less than like 7 minutes?
she's great in that movie,
believe
but
it.
that was an
she's
odd
a boss.
one.
Like seriously, just like walked in, like laid a couple, like
Boom.
check it out, and then it was like, oh, I won an Oscar for best supporting
Just dropped a
actress.
couple Dench bombs. Boom, 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 boom.
Dame Judi Dench.
I think it was Anthony Hopkins who won Best Actor. He was in Silence of the Lambs, like even less than that. For like,
I'm not
like
sure.
in total, in like 3 minutes in that entire movie, which is crazy.
He's not in there. He's a little.
He's not in it very
He's
much.
a bit more. He's still one of the.
I know. It
main
seems like he's in a lot.
characters,
He's a main character, but he's in the movie very
though. Like without
infrequently.
him, the whole movie kind of falls apart.
It doesn't make any sense without him. But
Yeah.
he's actually in it like very
You
very.
could call him the linchpin of the lambs.
Yeah. But it says like screen time is like zip. Tangy zip in my Miracle Whip. So the portraits of him that give us the image that we assume today. We're like, oh, William Shakespeare. I know what he looks like. Those are both.
bald mullet guy.
Yeah, sort of a
That's
like
that's
he's-
one of my catchphrases.
Yeah.
William Shakespeare, I know what he looks like.
Yeah, totally. And he's kind of got a nun ton going on where he's got like nun on top and a ton on the sides and back. Yeah, a nun ton. So he's got a nun ton. But so he
Whoa, that's not fair.
I know it's a sensitive subject, but he's rocking a nun ton. I know.
I had no idea that's what it was called.
I did, and that's mean. But,
Holy
yeah.
Hogan, man.
Yeah. But so that popular image was painted by an artist commissioned 7 years after Shakespeare had passed away, and his family and friends
From memory.
Yeah, totally. People were like, "Oh, I guess that's what he looked like, or whatever."
You
Didn't he always have
yeah.
a bat in the cave? Yeah, let's put that in there.
So, and then number 8, there are a number of people, holy, who are claim to have maybe used William Shakespeare the name to publish their work. So the first guy, and I'm going to butcher all these names, Edward de Vere. So he's the favorite. This guy Edward de Vere. But the problem is he died in 1604, and plays were coming out for years afterward. Amelia Bassano Lanier. The Dark Lady.
That's good. I'm into it.
She lived in a time when women were not allowed to be on stage.
Yeah.
And certainly wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have been allowed to make a living as a playwright. So that's like, yep. And there's a lot of like strong female characters. And during his lifetime, they would have been played by men, which is ridiculous.
Or young boys.
Or young boy. Yeah, totally.
Right.
So it's like a lot of women later on have said like, he like really understood women and wrote a lot of roles for women. So maybe it was actually a lady that wrote it. George, these names are amazing, by the way. I'm saving the best for the last, but these are top tier names. George Peele. This was Shakespeare's writing buddy. He loved gory stuff. So people are like quick to point out, well, there's a cannibal scene in Titus Andronicus, but it's hard to believe that he'd only indulge his sadistic nature in one play out of all of this stuff. Like the one time.
That's an opinion.
That's
an opinion.
That's the criticism.
I've got something for this, but no, it's not time yet.
Okay, we'll hold it. But that's when people are shooting it down. They're like, he could have been the guy, but there would have been a lot more gore if he had been the guy. Christopher Marlowe. We talked about him earlier. The ghost from beyond the grave. So he was an established playwright, and he's a solid contender. The mystery with him is he died in a pub brawl. How great is that?
Badass.
Before anything from Shakespeare was published. So I know the movie makes it look like they were contemporaries.
Yeah.
But actually, Marlowe was...
Also, it was Shakespeare's fault in that movie.
Yeah,
Because everyone thought he was Shakespeare.
Yeah. Now, there's this thing where Marlowe's like, he was one of these first like really outspoken atheists. People are like, oh, we're gonna kill that guy. So he might have faked his death and like continued to publish his works under the name Shakespeare because he was a very outspoken person with that. Yeah. William Stanley. So the evidence here is that the initials match, and he certainly looks like the famous drawing of one WS. So Charles, can you pull up a picture of William Stanley? And you guys will be just get your O faces ready for some shockage because it's coming.
Right there. This one here?
Sure.
Sure.
So that kind of looks like the picture that people assume is William Shakespeare. Ish.
The 6th Earl of Derby.
Everyone at this kind of time period sort of looks the same.
Yeah, I was gonna
Much.
say.
I mean, this is not This is not photos. This is
Yeah.
not Instagram.
Yeah.
This is stand for 6.
And you expect me to stand here for 8 hours?
Stand for 8 hours.
Take a look
for
at my face and
selfie.
do your best guess.
That's how you get a selfie.
Do your best guess.
No, this guy has the best last name I've ever heard. Sir Francis Bacon.
Francis Bacon.
He actually did write under a pseudonym, but he was
Is it Sweden?
Like,
he
are
was
you really
pseudonym,
mispronouncing
pseudonym.
Pseudonym.
He was also Lord Chancellor at the time of the Golden Age.
And he used to rock a mean hat.
So it's hard to imagine that he was like, I'm Lord Chancellor, I'm the Viscount of Alray, and
Look at my
whatever.
I write love stories.
Yeah, and I also write hundreds of plays and do it anonymously.
I write them all on my neck napkin.
There's also Henry Neville. So talented, traveled, controversial.
So wait, all these people
May have been writing under the name William
but
Shakespeare.
also had their own.
They were famous for like sort of
yeah.
side reasons.
Sure.
So Henry Neville was incarcerated in the Tower of London, and that incarceration happens to line up with Shakespeare's darker plays. And he's like, so it's like, well, he was a really talented writer, and he wouldn't have been able to publish anything under his own name. So he's like, I'm in jail. I got to write scary stuff.
Shakespeare wasn't writing about getting shivved. He wasn't.
He was.
Shakespeare wasn't writing about toilet wine.
No, he was.
Shakespeare wasn't writing about buying stuff with cigarettes.
Okay, now I understand what you're saying. And yes.
Shakespeare wasn't talking about getting out in the yard and having his walking around time.
Shakespeare wasn't like, you think I'm trapped in here with you, but you're trapped in here with me.
That's right. Shakespeare wasn't in jail, man.
So there was also Sir Walter Raleigh, and I had a bike when I was a kid that was a Raleigh.
A Raleigh bike.
Yeah, Raleigh, man. Yeah. Those were sweet lollies going off some sweet jumps.
Sweet jumps.
So Walter Raleigh, soldier, sailor, explorer, author, lover.
Soldier, sailor, tinker, tailor.
Yep.
Yeah.
He had the education background for sure.
Sure.
So traveled the world, and he was an author. He was also hated by monarchies of the day. So people were like, well, if he wanted to publish anything, he would also have to use a pseudonym. Yep. And now this guy's name, this is amazing. Sir Fulk Greville. This man actually claimed to have been Shakespeare, and researchers
I'm Shakespeare.
He's like, I'm Shakespeare. What's up? And he's like, look at this play. It's called Anthony and Cleopatra. And people are like, that feels like a Shakespeare play. And he's like, yeah, but I wrote it because I wrote the other ones. What? Here's what we've been really waiting for. Here are a couple of classic burns from the Bard. Are you guys ready?
Ooh, sick burns. Let's go.
Okay. Do you guys want to take turns reading these?
I got myself.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to.
Okay, so
people. Thou hast no more brain than I have in my elbows.
that's good. Sick burn. Okay. Sick. Now this one here.
Your brain is as dry as the remainder biscuit after voyage.
That's good. That's
good.
That
soda bread you were talking about.
Okay. This one's pretty. This is I'm hoping is like right after Christopher Marlowe was beat to death.
I'll beat thee, but I would infect my hands.
Oh.
Back over here.
More of your conversation would infect my brain, thou crusty batch of nature.
I think we're doing pretty good.
This is good. This is good. Yeah.
Yo mama so fat. No, I'm just kidding.
Thou mama so fat.
Villain, I have done thy mother.
There it is. He wrote that one.
The best part is that the
villain.
Yeah. They used to, like, nowadays we have the that's what she said. Mm-hmm. And in his day, it was, 'twas what she proclaimed.
Since we're throwing out Shakespeare insults, one of my favorites, and I really, really like Romeo and Juliet because there's a lot of good insults in there.
Oh.
But it's at the beginning where the Montagues and the Capulets just first kind of meet, and you're like, oh, there's some animosity here. And it's like, did you bite your thumb at me? And I was just like, man, what a weird thing to get upset
bite
about.
Your thumb.
Did you bite your thumb at me? And say, I bite my thumb, but I do not bite my thumb at you.
That's the first thing that pops into my head when I think of a Shakespeare burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just bite your thumb at me?
Yeah.
No, I bite my thumb, but I
That
did not
is
bite
some-
my thumb at you. I was just like, man, what a weird
That's
thing
some
to get upset about.
disrespect.
You need to get some skin grafts for those burns.
Yeah. Damn. I'm going to bite this thumb.
But I'm not biting it at you.
Your next career move is right around the corner, and Norquest College is here to help. Our new Career Moves professional development program will help you transition to new job opportunities. Funded by the Future Skills Center, we will provide one-on-one coaching, self-assessments, skill development and training, and up to $2,000 in available tuition credit. Our focus is your success. Make your next move. Apply today at norquest.ca/career moves.
Opinion time, opinion time. Hey everybody, it's opinion time.
So Greg, what did I start with you last? Sure. Well, Greg, what was our
Just
what was our,
make him
what
do
was
it,
our
'cause I
first
can't
time?
remember.
What was our first theory here? Dost thou remember Barry Sotero? So Barry Sotero.
That's a bunch of BS.
The BSME.
You think I went into the closet and ended up on Mars? Come on, man.
No. It was the BSME, the news station, where they just traveled all the way to the.
They went to Mars. Yeah. So
naturally.
and the
Of
Mandela
course.
minute was that the
Chartreuse is
chartreuse is green and it's actually purple. I remember it being purple.
Bitchin' so.
Is that the theory? Is that people think it's purple?
People think that it's a magenta, rouge, red, purple, kind of maroon color.
but like
get
not
it.
green. That is.
I get it.
But not green.
I get it.
Okay, and Charles, do you remember what the third theory was?
Yeah. Shakespeare's a bad mother.
But he
Shut your mouth.
Thank you.
You're just talking about Shaq.
synergy again. This is
Don't you
amazing.
dare.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that's totally it. And this is that. I mean, we know probably not the most qualified. I mean, I know we're all studied literature.
Quite.
Yeah, quite.
As we sit here in my library.
My library.
My library.
In my library.
With the leather-bound books adorning my walls.
So, okay, I guess you want to start, Greg, here. Like, what do you think? Do you think Barack Obama actually was a student council leader that took kids to Mars?
It took him that long to provide his birth certificate. So damn rights, man. You got to get that shit put
It's so
into
funny.
to that embassy on Mars and get that stuff sent back to Earth. Man, take some time.
That poor guy has put up with the weirdest theories about him and his family.
And then he
like,
became president. And his hair turned gray. Like I feel so bad.
Oh, I know, right? Like,
Well, that shit'll age you.
yeah, 8 years as president.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
But no, in all fairness, I do like the fact that the original person's name was Barry. And,
Barry Sotero.
Yeah.
Straight up BS.
Yeah.
It's got to be
That was
true.
my first,
I wouldn't be
Lincoln.
surprised if Barack Obama actually went by Barry. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like,
Sure.
He,
I'm sure people call him
Yeah.
that. Some people.
I can see it.
His close inner circle of buds.
Yeah,
I
totally.
would call him Rocco or something like that.
Yeah.
Barry, B-Rock.
B-Rock. Yeah, definitely B-Rock.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't,
sorry, that was
I don't buy this thing myself, but I think it's interesting that people were like retroactively like, we're bloody chrononauts, and we knew Barack Obama in the 80s, and we went to Mars, and it's like, what?
Before the spoiler that he was supposed to be Barack Obama.
It's amazing.
When you call his, what was it? Was his
Barry Sotero.
He just sounds like a bully.
I
And
know,
It just sounds
it's
like a crazy 80s movie
Classic 80s name.
where he's just a bully and he's like, we're going to Mars and I'm going to get you swirlies, you know?
Sweep the leg kind
That's
of deal.
totally. We're going to
Barry, sweep the leg.
straight to the toilets and we're giving you a swirly. And then we'll fill that damn Dean's VW bug with ping pong balls on Mars.
If anything, I think Barack Obama is the first person that we want on Mars because he would be very welcoming.
He would be good. He would be good.
I'm fine as if we're like picking like 10
Mars boss.
people from the Earth to be like, these people represent humanity. It's like, there's a candidate for sure.
I saw a joke.
No. But
I don't know if I go that far.
No, but I mean, like, if we're gonna pick like 10 candidates for like awesome people that should like represent humanity on another planet, I think he'd be a candidate. I'm not saying he's
obviously, William Shatner is the first person.
William Shatner's a great.
It doesn't matter what color that girl is, green, purple. Even if she is like a humanoid person, he's going.
And you don't see color. You see.
I'm sorry that movie was shot in
Colorblind.
I can think of worse people to be sent.
He's like, whatever. I'm chill.
and he had a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
Did you see him doing stand-up? He did like a stand-up, and the amazing thing is there's a thing of him doing stand-up, and it's like a 40-minute set, and he's hilarious. And it turned out later on, it was the evening that he sent those guys to kill Bin Laden. So he's like, go kill Bin Laden, dump his body.
By the way,
at
I
sea.
finally get to crack out all these jokes.
And then later on that night, he's like, and what's the deal with airplane food? And everyone's like, oh, leave this guy's hilarious. Like, it's amazing. It's incredible. He's one, seriously, and he sang that one time? Oh,
the logo's round. The box is round.
Yeah.
Why don't they just call it Round Teen?
He's one slick public speaker. Like, he's, dude, in front of it, like, unflappable. Like, you just cannot shake that man. Like, he's
on a scale of 1 to 5. I'm gonna have to go. I don't know.
We're not doing the scales anymore. Okay,
we're not doing scales.
But I know it's pretty clear that I'm coming off as a fan of the guy. But I'm a fan of the guy. But this is all hogwash. This is hogwash. Okay, so Charlie, do you think that chartreuse was green, or you're not sure?
I thought it was green. I'm the one who said it was green first.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it was purple. So once again,
because I can only base it off of what I've drank from friends who served me chartreuse, you're in the wrong universe.
That is bizarre. Okay, and Charlie, what do you think? Do you think William Shakespeare was?
Here's my thing about Shaky. I don't think that all these people were posing as him. But if anything, maybe he spent some time around the dude who spent some time in jail, or maybe he, hung out with that guy. He just picked up some influences. That's all. So if his darker period coincides with the time that other playwright was in jail, maybe they were just hanging out a little bit, and he was like, yeah, that guy's got it tough. I'm going to steal your influences.
Right. So don't you think it'd be easy for, like, if he was famous for like 2 plays, say, for example, like hypothetically,
he had a couple of out the gate, a couple of hits, and everyone's like, "Ooh, be buds with that guy."
One hit wonder.
And he's a rising star.
So someone else writes a play.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh man, this is something. It's like the whole Garth Brooks thing. He's like, that's a great song. I got to cover it. And all of a sudden it becomes a William Shakespeare thing. Like maybe and it wouldn't even necessarily be him, but like the corporation around him, because he became more than a human being. He became like
more of a collective work.
He became a collective thing. So it's like other people were like, oh, I wrote a play too. And if we call it written by William Shakespeare, then maybe it'll get done.
But wouldn't at like one point
But that's what we're saying with the guy in jail.
No, I'm saying he hung out with those guys and stole their influences. He was like, oh yeah, Jim's got it real tough. I'm going to... Jim, tell me about your experiences. He's like, well, I mean, here I got shivved. I had to drink toilet wine. I had to buy cigarettes.
Tell me about those witches that you saw drinking over that.
And William was just like writing it all down, and he's like, witches, okay, cool.
And this is scandalous for the time, because he's like writing about witches, and people are still like I'm one of these guys.
Well, not even that. A Midsummer's Night Dream talks about pixies and mythical beings and stuff like that. It's a little bit more.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing you talk about once you've been drinking the toilet wine.
And once you've done some time in the clink, you're ready to see life for what it is.
But you just take those influences from what Andrew said, and he tells me the stories, and I write it down, and I make a play about it, and boom. Published.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, but it'll sell more if it's like, hey, Charming Charlie versus like Jeff in the Clink, and nothing against Jeff's, but like you're in the Clink, buddy. So
that's right. That's right.
They ripped your thumbs off already.
Locked up Andy.
Yeah. No, my thing with it would be like if it was different people to like you brought up like a collective, or whether it was one random person. I think there would be a very different writing style. And in his sonnets, I'm not going to claim to have read a lot of them. I'm not a fucking professor. From the ones that I've read, there seems like a very consistent voice behind it.
That's true, but it's also been like edited in years since and all that kind of stuff. Like, because it has been like 500 years.
No, I've definitely like read but there's always that like original text.
But there's no original text. That's the problem.
No original text in his writing.
Who's to say? I'm not disagreeing with you.
Who's to say he didn't know how to write, and like you said, met someone in jail who did?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the opposite of this story.
Yeah. So I think it's like the whole, like he could have been in the years after people were like, we need more of a cohesive voice. Someone could have, Titus Andronicus. There's like a weird cannibal scene in the middle.
Unfortunately, I've never read it.
It's out of sync. There's a really good movie with made out of Titus with Anthony Hopkins. Yeah,
no, never saw it.
And
Hannibal Holocaust. Yeah,
it's not
Hannibal Holocaust.
It's pretty intense. But there's a couple of things too, like Twelfth Night and the Scottish play have a lot of elements that are like aren't in other examples of his work. And then there's like very historical dramas that are like kind of dry. And then all of a sudden he's like super funny in The Taming of Shrew. So
he was just having a real good day. He just came back from the improv. He was on fire.
He was, and
he opened the play with, "What's the deal with airplane food?"
Yeah.
You know, that was his thing.
What doth be the deal with? Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's a weird one. Yeah, no, man. I feel like this is one of those ones where it's like he could have been a real guy, but at the same time, it's not like copyright law would have been like a fixed thing. Like he easily could have been never existed.
Exactly.
You know,
I'm not disputing that. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that there's a little too much consistency throughout the writing that we have now. Although we can't say for sure whether it's the original writing from him or not.
Yeah.
There just seems too much of a consistent voice throughout the entire thing. Obviously, either if it was multiple people, there's multiple stories to be told, and they just try to write together, or it was one person and they just were that amazing of a writer.
yeah. Thinking about
It would almost be like what's his name going through his blue period. Picasso, and then going through his dimensionalism, and then like squarism and shit like that. Like he did different art to how he felt.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
No, fair enough. I lend real credence to him being like maybe he's like he had other people working on stuff or
ghostwriters.
Yeah, ghostwriter totally, or just being like yeah, well I you know.
Hey
like,
man, rappers do it all the time nowadays. Ghostwriters to put your name on it. It was good. You're famous now.
Yeah, totally. And in the years since, it wouldn't be hard for someone to be like, let's, you know, just edit this down to have like a single vision, because the fact that it has a single vision, that's not evidence that it was William Shakespeare. That means it was someone, but that isn't necessarily him. Is the thing.
I didn't say a single vision. I
no,
said continuance of one voice.
And I that's what I'm trying to say is that because there is a consistent voice, but that consistent voice could have been someone else using the name.
Oh no, absolutely.
You know, and it is odd that he was like, has no life record.
Like I said, ghostwriter.
Yeah, totally. It's an odd one. I don't know if there'll ever be a solution to this at all or a final answer because it's like zero information on the guy. Like,
I wonder how many people are out there that are claiming like, Shakespeare's great nephew or something like that.
Yeah.
23andMe says I'm half 1/3 Shakespeare, straight from the family tree.
Well, Chuckles in the Sub-Cockles, wasn't that a grand slam of a joyous time together? Yes, sir, it was. It sure was. Alrighty.
I feel like you should reread that in your best Shakespearean.
Oh, sorry. Doth Chuckles in the thy Sub-Cockles, alas, wasn't that a grand slameth of a joyous time together? Yes, sir. Yep.
Yes, sir.
You betcha. Sure was.
Sure thing.
Alrighty. So we really do appreciate you stopping by for a listen. Please feel free to rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your neighbor, tell thine enemy. Tell thine enemy. And spill thy enemy's bowels upon the field of glory.
That's good.
Spread the good word. We will be back on March 1st. And stay tuned for our St. Patty's 2.
Electric Boogaloo!
Ow! And also, we have the birthday month coming up.
The birthday month.
That's right. It's coming up. I forgot about that. It has our birthday. I'm just going to repost the same photo every year. It's so great.
Okay, so thanks for listening and take care.
Bye.
Where are we?